After many days of her father's disappearance, Tu Tien lived in a state of constant worry and suffocating anxiety. Every morning when she woke up, she rushed out to the front porch, hoping to see the familiar figure of her father walking back from afar. But there was only still wind and an empty sky. At night, she couldn't sleep peacefully. Even the slightest noise outside would startle her awake, her heart pounding, thinking he had returned, only to be disappointed by the rustling leaves or a stray cat passing by. Tu Tien couldn't bring herself to eat well or smile, afraid that while she found brief comfort, her father might be somewhere cold, hungry, or in danger. What frightened her most were the dark thoughts quietly taking over her mind. Was he taken by someone? Is he still alive? What if he never comes back? These questions stabbed at her heart like sharp knives, making each day feel endless and heavy. Neighbors occasionally stopped by to comfort her and told her not to overthink. But how could she not? Her father was her only family, her only support in a life filled with uncertainty. The image of him on the day he left, thin and fragile in his old jacket, his gentle eyes reminding her, "Be good at home. I'll be back soon," kept replaying in her mind like a deep cut in her soul. Tu Tien began wandering to the riverbank, the marketplace, and the old roads he used to travel, clinging to the hope that someone might have seen him. She kept his worn scarf close, as if holding on to a little of his warmth. Even though her heart was full of unease, she held on to a tiny spark of hope. As long as she didn't give up, her father would surely come back. Tu Tien grew more anxious and finally decided to call Jack for help. Her voice trembled over the phone, breaking with emotion. "Jack, I don't know what to do anymore. My father's been missing for days and there's still no word." Jack paused for a moment, then gently replied, "All right, don't cry. I'll help you find him. I promise." The very next day, Jack began reaching out to his contacts. He called a friend who worked in local security, then contacted a few acquaintances in nearby regions where Tu Tien's father might have passed through. Jack didn't give too much detail, just enough information and a request to keep an eye out for an older man matching the description. He asked them to alert him immediately if there was any news. Then Jack drove to see Tu Tien. When he arrived, she was curled up on the front steps, her eyes dark with exhaustion after too many sleepless nights. Jack didn't say much. He simply wrapped a jacket around her shoulders and softly said, "I'm here now. We'll find him." They sat down together and spread out a map on the table. Tu Tien recalled the last time she saw her father. He said he was going to a distant place to visit an old friend. Jack carefully marked the possible locations her father might have gone to and crossed out areas where he had already asked for information. Together, they created a detailed route and divided it into sections to make the search more efficient. Jack also searched online, checking local community groups and posting a description of Tu Tien's father, hoping someone might recognize him. "We can't just sit here and wait," he told her. "The faster we act, the better our chances." Seeing Jack so determined and responsible gave Tu Tien a sense of comfort. In her weakest moment, he became her solid support. Together, they planned the journey, packed essentials, clothes, food, maps, power banks, and held on to one small shared hope, that her father was still out there, waiting to be found. That morning, Gentle sunlight filtered through the trees as Jack's car pulled up in front of Tu Tien's house. He stepped out, opened the passenger door, and smiled warmly. "Let's go, we're starting the journey to find your dad." Tu Tien nodded, clutching a small bag close to her chest. Inside was an old photo of her father and a few sentimental items she couldn't leave behind. Her eyes shimmered with tears, but her expression was firm. No matter what lay ahead, she had to find him. The car slowly rolled out of the village. Jack had a map laid out, carefully marked with all the possible locations her father might have gone. Their first destination was a remote hillside area about 30 kilometers away, a place her father once mentioned visiting an old friend. Along the way, they stopped at several places, asking locals about the man in the photo. Most people shook their heads sympathetically, saying they hadn't seen him. By noon, they stopped at a small roadside diner to grab a quick meal. Tu Tien sat quietly, eyes distant, lost in thought. Jack gently held her hand and reassured her. "I believe we'll find him. Don't give up, okay?" In the afternoon, they reached a sparsely populated area of low hills. One elderly local, after looking at the photo, said he'd seen someone like that passing by a few days earlier, asking for directions to an abandoned house at the end of the valley. Tu Tien's heart leapt. That could be my dad. Without hesitation, Jack drove in the direction they were given. The road became narrower and rougher until they had to leave the car behind and continue on foot through a small forest trail. They were drenched in sweat, shoes caked in mud, but neither of them complained. They had only one goal: find her father. As twilight fell, they reached the old abandoned house. It was cold, covered in moss and dust. No one was inside, but in the corner, they found a worn-out scarf and some leftover bread. Tu Tien recognized the scarf immediately. Her father always took it on trips. She dropped to her knees, overwhelmed with emotion. He was here. But where is he now? That night, they camped in the car. Jack built a small fire by the roadside to keep warm. They sat close together, eyes reflecting worry. If he was here, maybe something happened to him, Jack said softly. Tu Tien didn't respond. She hugged the scarf tightly, praying her father was still safe somewhere. The next few days, they continued their search through even more remote areas. They met kind strangers, got bits of information, and followed faint traces that sometimes raised hope, only for it to fade again. But Jack never let Tu Tien lose faith. Each day, they checked the map, made calls, and planned the next step. One late afternoon, while walking near a forest's edge, Jack spotted a single footprint in the muddy ground, heading into the trees, with no returning print. They looked at each other, then silently began to follow the track. Could this be the final clue leading them to Tu Tien's father? Did he run into danger, or is he waiting somewhere, hoping to be found? What will happen next in this emotional and uncertain journey? Will Jack and Tu Tien be able to find her missing father amidst the wilderness and mystery? Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you so much for watching. ****